This is the current lore.land site. As you can see, there's an oscillation between one set of styles and another set of styles. Clicking into this, you can see that there's a bit of a lag with the style. The first style that gets applied is unstyled, and then it starts oscillating between these two. I think this is an interesting artistic decision. If you wanted to make a professional website that was meant to feel cohesive and not meant to tell a story, but to provide information that people knew how to predictably interact with, you probably would want your core set of styles to load as quickly as possible, and you wouldn't want this oscillation between states, likely. You'd want to make sure that the code that you have is stable and easy to interact with if you wanted to make a professional website. That's not really the goal for lore.land. The goal is to use web technologies to extend the universes of other artists and authors and creatives, musicians, etc. So let's look at the styling. In the script.js file, we have a set of options, 0.css and 1.css. We can see those here, 0 and 1. We query for the selector period styles, and if we look in the index.html file, we see that there is a link that has the period styles here. So what we're doing is we're changing the href. This is what refers to the actual file that we're trying to load for specifically the link tag. And you can see down here for the script tag, it's a little bit different where we use a source. And for the anchor tag, it's also an href where we refer to the thing that we're trying to link to. So in this space, what we're doing is every 1000 milliseconds, we're adding 1 to the current selection and then doing the modulus of the number of options there are. And the reason that we do that is because if there is an overflow, if we set the current selection to a number that isn't in the options, we want to make sure that we're not providing the incorrect link to a style sheet. So we just make sure that we keep this selection within the bounds of the number of options that we have. And because those are only 2 options, we have this binary system that we're oscillating between. One of the fonts is monospace, but it isn't applied everywhere because the button you can see is the same. And the other font is cursive. One of the fonts is JetBrains Mono, which is the font that loads. And actually, I'm pretty sure that's the reason why the first style that was applied wasn't styled, why it didn't appear that way. And then the second font is just whatever comes with the browser. My goal with this website today is to make it look more cohesive, make it seem like there's more content here. The actual content, I don't think that people are going to want to engage with without a significant amount of preparation. It isn't clear what this does. If you click on chapter 1, once you see a link, but once you visit that link, it isn't clear then what you're supposed to do. So in this space, I don't believe people are going to really navigate this site to start with. I'm trying to tell a story with this interface, so I don't mind that people don't know what to do yet, although I will be looking to make this site more accessible, more understandable, and start to flesh out this ecosystem. Because it's the start of the year, it's pretty easy for me to contextualize the development that I have along the course of the schedule that we're looking at. So I'm just setting the goal that by the end of this year, I want this site to be fantastic. I want it to be entertaining. I want it to be engaging. I want it to be clear. I want people to be able to use this as an example, not only of what to look for in a website, but also the process that they can go down when they want to build their own. And there are a lot of spaces that you can enter when you're actually getting into the topic of web development. There are so many things that you can add, but to start with, I'm just focused on keeping it very simple using basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then from there, you can get into a lot of different things where you actually have an application and service workers and versions, and you're using different languages like Go or Rust and so on and so forth. But for the time being, we're going to keep this very simple. Start with the basics and then incrementally add more complexity.